Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Online Racing League. We are back. It's me, CRGGO, George Morgan here, alongside my colleague Manuel, also known as Maku. Maku, how you doing, fella?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm doing very fine today, and I hope so everyone is doing. And yeah, well, new game, new luck. Let's see.
Absolutely. You're joining us here for F1 2020, our very first stream on this game. It's absolutely unbelievable. We're looking forward to bringing this to you. It's certainly going to be a corker. Lots of excitement, a various amount of drivers here, including some old faces that we saw last season, as well as many other new ones, should I say, that we're looking forward to seeing as well. What are your thoughts based on the lineup we've got in front of us? Because we've got some new arrivals here, Maku.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got some known faces, but also a lot of people joined, as you said. I think some of them are all just joined today. So, yeah, I'm not sure. You know, the old ones, we will see some of them at the front again, I think. But let's see how the new guys do, and yeah, let's look into the qualifying, how those guys will perform.
Absolutely. Obviously, the drivers now about to make their way out. We will join the action very, very shortly. I've got to say, it's a pleasure bringing the action. Obviously, so close. It doesn't feel like long ago since the end of last season, Maku. Obviously, Jarno Opmeer taking the title last season. What are your thoughts going into the new championship? Obviously, it's a new challenge, certainly for these guys. Are we expecting any surprises going into the new ORL season?
Well, you know, there are always surprises, as we've seen with. I'm sure we had in the end we had a lot of drivers who were actually really fast who could compete with Jarno, but you know Jarno was just leading the championship from the beginning, and so he basically took this thing just because he was there from the beginning. And yeah, I mean, if people like Alvaro Carreton are going into the new season, I don't think we have him here today, but you know all those people have a really good chance on to a title, and I think we'll see a really close battle.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting, certainly given the fact that the F1 esports season is pretty much just around the corner, and I'm sure it's going to go. Certainly, it's going to prove very interesting to see what drivers come through. Obviously, we're not going to be able to see many of the previous drivers. Obviously, a lot of them currently waiting to undertake the F1 Esports Pro Series. But this gives us a chance to look at some of the new, fresh talent that's on the scene at this moment in time. BDG Jonathan, one of them as well, donning the Renault colours here today, going down the back straight, heading down towards Schloss Gold, and it'll be interesting to see how he gets on, as well as the likes of Kruzic, who we saw last season, Photon as well, who was a previous world champion, previous to Jarno Opmeer. Broomsun Care, know a little bit about him from AOR. Obviously, a little bit of racing pedigree behind him as well. But one of the main guys that's back again is Sven Zerner. Now, how do we rate his chances going into a new season, Maku?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it with his German colleague in the McLaren last season already. He had also some very unfortunate events. I think in America was him, right?
It was, and I think he also had an incident at Bahrain as well.
Yeah, exactly. He had I think, very unfortunate season, the last one for him. But yeah, maybe he can make some of it. I don't know if he is. I'm sure if he is a real championship candidate, but I think he can fight for the first 3 places.
Absolutely. Another new kid on the block is Tomek Paradzis. He's just nailed a 103.032. P2 to his name at the moment, donning the orange McLaren colours. What a striking livery that is as he goes past Steve now. Zome's currently on top step, 102.975. A very good lap indeed, scrunching the 102s, the late 102, should I say. That's going to be a very tricky time to beat, that's for sure. Let's see if anyone can take the plaudits off this man as we now watch Tomek make his way around the next left-hander. We've still got plenty of time left, around 14 minutes left in qualifying. A long way to go, folks, and it's certainly going to be very, very interesting indeed. Zones ahead by well under half a tenth of a second as we now watch Tomek come into the pit lane. Obviously not looking to set a lap. Another drive we should look out for as well is Ludwig Rasebo, a new arrivee to Comrade Gaming, donning the Mercedes colours right now. And we're very fortunate. This guy is a Dirt Rally World Championship quarter-finalist, Maku.
He is. Oh, that's impressive.
Certainly is. A little bit of a different platform to Formula One, of course.
Yeah, of course, but though it's of course it's different. You have to adapt a lot because Formula One has a little bit more downforce than that. But yeah,
Well, it'll definitely prove interesting. Obviously, it shows he's got racing pedigree, and that's
Of course.
pretty much all that counts now and again. If you know how to control a car, that's worth an awful lot. This is another man we saw last season, Leonard, driving the Haas here today. Obviously, the famous Gene Haas, obviously known for his, taking part in various sporting events, whether that be NASCAR or Formula One or even stock car, etc. I know he's got involvements all across the world of motorsport, and we're now watching Leonard drive the Jack and Jones sponsored livery here for Haas here today, now making his way around the quick right-hander. Very soon he'll be making his way down towards the final corner and looking to set his lap time of the day now as he comes up towards the line now. What's it going to be here for the Haas driver? Leonard goes P5 with a 103.277. A great time indeed, and certainly a great way to get out of the blocks. I've got to say, it feels good to be back, Maku.
Yeah, it really does. And you just mentioned in terms of livers, what do you think of the new ones this year?
I got to say, I'm a big fan of the new Williams one. I think it's really nice. I think getting rid of the rocket sponsor was actually more of a blessing than anything else. Really, the car looks a lot better without it.
Yeah, he may be right there.
Yeah, and I think the idea of blue and white, I think that's Williams, isn't it? That's their colours. And I like the fact they've gone back and paid homage to their roots more than anything else. A very, very good team, historical team that we all like to watch over the years. And they were the ones who were pretty much at the top of Formula One when I started watching back in the mid-90s. The era of Damon Hill, Nigel Mansell, as well as many others, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Jack Villeneuve. Those were the glory days for Williams. Obviously Juan Pablo Montoya, people know about as well. Maybe even Pastor Maldonado as well, from years gone by as we watch Leonard come into the pit lane. But no, I've got to say, I think Williams is definitely my top pick in terms of liveries. How about yourself?
I think it will be the new Mercedes livery, the black one, because they're called the silver arrows, and they've been silver for like a long time. It's almost like Ferrari. It's always the same red, but it's a new thing, and I think it looks really good. And it's getting wet. It's starting to rain.
It is. Yes,
Getting
drama
the
here in
real
qualifying.
Austria.
10 minutes remaining, and this could prove costly for all the guys who haven't set laps on the softer compounds.
This looks like the real Austria, like yesterday.
It does. It does. Obviously, though, we started with wet weather and we finished with wet weather as well in qualifying. But nonetheless, the guys who obviously said, I think it's going to be very tricky for anyone to notch a P1 now. I think Zones has definitely got the time to beat at the moment. And I've got to say, I was impressed with Zones last season. Certainly a quick driver. I remember countless times. I remember the Monza, the Italian Grand Prix, where he was absolutely unbelievable on track. And certainly he has racing pedigree. And now being on pole position, that gives him such a good opportunity, Baku.
Yeah, I think he was really working from like the front midfield up into the podium places. And yeah, I mean, that's really impressive from him. And first guys are giving up the session, I think on purpose. There's no car stopped on track. Oh, but there's one, I think, in starting sector 2 after turn 3.
Yeah, well, looking at it now, Photon is just about to come to the end of his lap. Boomson has netted a 103.176.
The Red Bull going off.
Yeah, I think quite a few have finished. I think I'm just watching now because Photon's coming into the pit lane as well. Steve is also coming in, so the two Ferraris not finishing up their laps. I think we're going to be seeing mass retirements here, folks. Obviously, we cannot go, or they can't go any better than what they've already done, given the fact that their previous times were set on a very dry track. So what does this mean for the race, Mako? If we get wet, that could really complicate issues.
Yeah, that could be a really, really complicated race then. Because I think not much of the drivers have yet raced much in the rain. I mean, the game is out since like Monday or Tuesday or something. So most of the people are, well, I think first trying out Zandvoort and Hanoi, and not really focused on training in the wet. So yeah, if the race stays wet, it could be really funny.
It could well be, and at the moment, obviously, Zone's taking the top step. Tomek Paradzik starting in P2 as well, by the looks of things. Sven Zerner in P3, Andy in P4. I believe that's Andinator for those people from last season. Boomsen P5, Leonard P6, Zename P7, know him from AOR. Photon P8, Steve in P9, Syke in P10, Jonathan P11, Jucifer, or Calcifer as he was once known, P12. Keeble Wand in P13, Dax P14, Speed Booster in P15, Lawmans in P16, Eagle P17, Kruzic P18, Tarabukin P19, Ludwig Rusebo, also like Tarabukin, unable to set a qualifying lap.
Well, let's see what the last two guys do, but I think they'll then go and retire too.
Yeah, I think it's pretty evident here. Sven Zerner's retired as well. It just leaves Andy on track. Yeah. And obviously I can't imagine he will be putting out another time. We're going to be heading into the race very prematurely here, Maku. And these are your final running orders. Zones takes pole position, cracking drive. And he's joined by fellow pole Tomek Paradzik on the second spot on the grid. Sven Zerner P3, Andinator P4, Boomson in P5, Leonard in P6, Zename P7, Photon P8, Steve P9, Syke P10, Jonathan P11, Jucifer P12, Giebel 1 P13, Dax P14, Speed Booster P15, Lawmans P16, Eagle P17, Kruzic P18, Tarabukin and Ludwig Gazebo unable to set a time, and therefore they'll finish 19th and 20th respectfully. But it's looking like an interesting prospect here, Maku. Obviously, Zone's in the top spot, but the likes of Sven Zerner still thereabouts, and let's not forget Tomek Paradzik as well.
Yeah, I mean, we know Zones is a quick driver, but though, those other drivers there at the front, they will not go easy on him. And I mean, especially in Austria here, as long as they can stay in this DRS window for the first 3 rounds, they can really make that overtake maneuver. And I mean, especially in the first corners or in the third corner, we just saw it today. What can happen? We saw it also last Sunday. So hopefully no one's spinning out. But I hope for a lot of overtakes into turn 4. Because they're quite interesting, they're quite spectacular, but we've also seen some good defending there.
Absolutely, and certainly the class of these drivers will show through. We've already seen some very rapid lap times, even broken into the 102s as well. Phenomenal lap time there by that man Zone, certainly getting the job done, and that gives him a very, very good opportunity to make a statement here. Obviously, can he do what Lewis Hamilton did? I mean, Lewis Hamilton setting a world record lap as the lights are about to commence here for the formation lap, and this is when the drivers will obviously get to warm up the tyres, ready for the race. And it certainly is a very exciting prospect. As you now see the racing point of Zones leading the way with Thomas Paradzik there in the McLaren just in behind, and being followed there by Sven Zerner in the Red Bull. But what a pedigree of drivers we have here, Maku, and obviously following up from last season, we certainly cannot wait until the start of a new ORL season. It's certainly always been a pleasure to come these races, and once again I think we're going to be in for a treat. And I'm sure these drivers, although it's more of an exhibition/social race, I'm sure they'll give us certainly something to watch.
What is this? We have there is an estimate for the pit stop strategy.
Sorry, Maku. Yeah, say that again.
Did you have the pit stop strategy window too?
No, I didn't.
I don't know. I think it was the game. Just was showing me some estimated pit stop strategies.
Oh right! Wow.
I was really surprised.
All right. Maku's getting some updated news for.
It was too short. I was too shocked to read
it. Bonus features, Maku. Bonus features.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm getting that too. Wow.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, that is. I like that. So it says here, obviously, that the mediums will be pit stopping very, very soon. I did not see that come in whatsoever, but great addition, Codemasters. Well done indeed, as we now see Zones and Tomek make their way. Obviously, this is the first time we've conned a race on F1 2020, so do forgive our surprise. We were not expecting that, were we, Maku?
No, we absolutely weren't.
Yeah, but certainly that'll be excellent for us to see going through into a new season as the drivers get ready to line themselves up. Obviously, one thing that does stay the same is your commentators for the new season. We're going to look forward to bringing this to you. Here come the lights. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. Zones gets away well, but so does Thomas Prancing. They're going toe-to-toe around the first corner. In comes Tomek, and he drives through. Oh, he's nearly knocked there. Going around the first corner, but Zones takes the advantage. In comes Sven Turner there, hopping into P2, trying to go ahead of Tomek Prancing. In comes Photon as well. What a jump he's made off the start. Looking to regain some of that talent that he had a couple of seasons ago. But Zones leads the way. The Racing Point in front here in Austria. In behind him, Prancing, Sven Turner going toe-to-toe with him, heading down towards Slosh Gold, who's got the bravest toes on his feet now as they make their way round. Tomek takes P2, holds on to it. Sven Turner, what a brave move indeed. And that is your classifications for the start of this race. Baku, what a start.
What a start. Did you see how Foden shoot away from the grid? That was fantastic. I don't think he got a penalty for a early start, but he was just that much faster than everyone.
He was indeed, and we're just seeing there for the pit stops. We're predicting laps 13 to 16 for the medium tyres. So let's see what happens. Obviously, a lot of the guys picking the softs at this moment in time. So obviously, I'd imagine they pit around about maybe lap 10 on the soft tyres. It'll certainly be interesting. Anyway, we have flags being waved there by the marshals. I'm not sure quite what that's for. I'm not being notified by anything, but it says a blue flag already, so I can't imagine that makes a great deal of sense. As we now witness at the moment, Zones leading the way. We're having a few issues with our telemetry, folks. Certainly seems to be some issues going on there. It says Dax is in front, but obviously we are very much aware that Zones is leading the way. Tomek in P2, currently trying to track the man in the Racing Point as they make their way around the next left-hander before they join yet another one. There's a double left here, and as they make their way around, be careful on the brakes, of course. You don't want to ride too much of the curbs here, as you now see the Pink Panther leading the way. He's not far ahead though of Tomek Prancing. In comes Sven Zerner as well. He's not far away. Sven Zerner looking mighty at the moment in his Red Bull, and certainly looking for a great season here in ORL.
And that is the first real quickest lap of the race with a 1:06, and the DRS is now activated, at least for the guys 1 second behind their opponents. Though I had also some things. The telemetry told me they had DRS the previous rounds, but I think they couldn't activate it. And still a little bit buggy, the game, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're waiting on some new patches, I think, just to help us along a little bit. But obviously, you know, not everything's perfect. I'm sure that we'll see some improvements as we go through into the new season. Obviously, things get patched and we get updates, so I'm sure it won't be long before we start seeing these little improvements take shape in the Formula 1 game series. Just looking further down though, Leonard having a battle of his own against Justifer. They're making their way around the Roche and Wirth curves. As you can now see the Haas there primed and ready in behind there, behind the AlphaTauri car as they make their way around. And indeed, the Haas livery looking ever prominent. And we do have a yellow flag in sector 2.
Speed boost ran out of corner. I don't know the number.
Well, that's Slosh Gold, that is. And you can see the braking lines there. And indeed, by the looks of it, that is a clear DNF. I'm just seeing Dax round the next left-hander. We'll see if the wrecked car is still there. Indeed, yellow flags are being raised. Now, I'm not sure where his car ended quite. We just missed out on that, folks. But as things stand, obviously, Speed Booster is out of the race, and that certainly won't help him. Kruzich now round in the corner. He's doing a battle with Lormans right now, heading round Remus. And indeed, Lormans managing to hold on to P10 there. The Renault under pressure here from Kruzich, Baku.
Yeah, and Sven Zerner was just having a little problem with his back. I think he was hit, going a little bit sideways, going for a little drift, and lost 2 places because he had fought up to 2nd place. Oh, and we have a change in the lead?
Yeah, Tomek Prancing now in the lead, and the man is surely a fast driver. We know a little bit about him. For those of you who don't know, that's Veloce Hypers, currently leading the race, currently in the McLaren car, and he's just ahead now of Zones, now heading into lap 5 of 36, doing extremely well there in the orange McLaren. Zones just in behind, approximately 8 tenths as they round the first corner. In behind him, Andy getting right close and personal to Zones there in the racing point. Is it the Alfa Romeo's chance to make a turn here at Remus? Look at the 2 Ferraris in P5 and 6. Photon and Steve coming into the fray as Ludwig Recibo receives a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, though I'm sure we've still got a lot more yet to see. Lap 5 of 36, folks. So much drama early on here, Maku.
Yeah, we've already got 1 DNF. I mean, it's less than in the real Formula 1, but you know, those are the first races after this big crisis. And, well, we as the esports guys, we had a little bit of profit out of that situation, because we had more views and a lot of the real drivers were also in the game. We've also seen some action with them. And yeah, well, now soon the new season's beginning, also in the esports. With the new game. Of course, everyone is still settling in, but you know, as we can see, the times are still quick as hell.
Yeah, well, Ludwig Recibo, we got another DNF as well, because Ludwig Recibo is out of the race. And I got a feeling he did it in exactly the same place as Speed Booster, another man out in sector 2 and 3, and we have a virtual safety car now out on the track. It's nice to see, though, that the game doesn't automatically revert to a safety car, because it used to be a little bit sensitive to the safety car coming out, and it would be very common for you to get, say, 2 or 3 safety cars in a race. Obviously, the maximum you can get, that being 3, and it was quite frequent, wasn't it, Maku, that we used to see the safety car out on track. But obviously, they're making use of the VSC these days as much as they can.
I think it's a little bit longer than before, because in the old game we had like VSC phases that were like just 10 seconds, and I mean, a VSC for 10 seconds is really unnecessary.
Absolutely. You know, it was just a pointless exercise, really, and you'd be there for a couple of laps. And then you'd find drivers that win the race under the safety car as well, obviously due to it being that long, because generally, on average, it would be about 2 laps before the safety car would enter the pit lane, which obviously complicated issues quite a bit. But looking at it right now, you can see there Gerbelwand currently in P12, Kruzic there ahead of him P11, Lorman's P10 leading this contingent around the track, as you can see. And Lorman's doing his best to try and hold on to P10. Kruzic getting really close to the back end of that Renault, and certainly I'm sure it won't be long before he considers making a move. Kruzic, a very formidable driver on his day, very quick indeed, knows how to take a corner, certainly at Austria, and knows what he's on about. As Steve now makes a move for P5 and does, I believe actually he was trying to defend from Photon, who's been swarming all over the back of his teammate now as they make their way around Slosh Gold, locking up there slightly, and you can see there the smoke billowing out from the back of the car. Now I'm not sure what was going on there, but indeed the 2 Ferraris having a bit of a tete-a-tete as things stand, and as they make their way around, Sven Zerner getting awfully close to the front end of Steve's Ferrari, Maku.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the battle between Kruzic and Lormans, is it, I think, because he's right at the back of him, going into the 3rd sector. And yeah, well, maybe with the DRS, he had the chance to fight to him into his back, and now maybe he gets his chance for his overtake. Let's see what they can do. Onto the 3 DRS straights, but it will not work into the first corner. We mostly see the overtakes into the 3rd, actually, the 3rd turn, or turn 4. Is it 4? Or are these at least like not really turns, but onto the 3rd DRS zone counted as turns?
Well, this will be his best chance, Maku. Here comes Kruzic making a move on the inside there of Lormans, heading into Slosh Gold. The McLaren getting the job done. Smoothly does it indeed. Kruzic taking 10th place. Lormans not quite done yet, though. Bear in mind, he's got more of a battle on the cause now, because in behind him, Gabelwand is in the racing point, pretty much glued to the back of that Renault as things stand, as they make their way around the Wirth and Roche curves, heading down towards the next right very soon. They'll be heading down towards the main straight, as you can see. Kruzic now in P10 in the points positions now after starting towards the back. Remember, he was P18, folks, P18 was Kruzich. Now he's in P10. What a rise there from the McLaren driver.
A really crazy job on him. But, you know, we've known Kruzich for holding through a race and just bringing it on, going on, not stopping. Well, he's always been at the top of the midfield. I think he won some championships a few years back. But, you know, he's still fighting for the places, and, well, that's just what makes the fun in racing. And he fought 8 places up, so he had a lot of overtakes, and I think that's what makes fun more than just driving ahead of the whole pack.
Absolutely. Well, Steve and Sven Zerner have had their battles as well. Heading up to the Remus corner, they were neck and neck. Sven Zerner managed to hold on to P4, but naturally I'm sure he'd rather be up in the podium spots. As you can see ahead of him, Zones in P2 still, Andy in P3. Sven Zerner really working to try and close the gap. He's literally well within a tenth of a second on Andy right now, and Andy as well looking to make a move on Zones at some point, but these lot getting really close, too close for comfort almost. We now see Tomek Perančić lead them around. He's still leading the way. Lap 10 of 36 has been a phenomenal race so far. We've had lots of action already. 2 DNFs unfortunately, which no one likes to see, but nonetheless the excitement has built up, and it's so great to be finally racing in the under the F1 2020 game as well. Absolutely brilliant. And look at this contingent of cars we've got here from P1 down to P6. Tomek Perančić leading the way. Zones P2. Andy in P3 there, as well as Sven Zerner P4. Steve in P5. Photon joining his teammate there in P6. So it definitely looks like we've got a very strong contingent. Sven Zerner leaves the session. Now whether that's an issue or whether that's a DNF, I'm not quite sure, Maku.
Sven Zerner? For his immise. Oh no. Well, that may be the game. But yeah, he's dropping back the order, and that is very unfortunate for him because he had fought for his places there at the front, and now he's only in 6th place, and I think he's dropping back rapidly. Zen Amy is really getting close to him. But yeah, though the 2 Ferraris really fought up to the front. They started in 8th and 9th, I think, and now they're in 4th and 5th. So maybe there's a chance for a podium, not like in real life.
Well, certainly not in real life. They had a bit of a mare today, that's for sure. Ferrari, unfortunately, both cars retiring before lap 5, or pretty much on lap 5. It was pretty dreadful in terms of the Ferrari. The prancing horses not doing themselves justice at Austria today. And it certainly was a bit of a disaster as far as they were concerned. But nonetheless, Steve and Photon doing well under the Ferrari colours at this moment in time. P4 for Steve, Photon in P5, both of them in the immediate points. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. Now, I'm not sure what's happened there, but Jonathan is out of the race, Maku. That's a Renault that's now DNF. And we do apologise for the current lap times, folks. We do understand the telemetry is trying to repair itself.
Yeah, I think he retired in the pit lane, but the game has a problem with it or something. I don't know. Let's just see.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's someone else going off.
Well, we've got yellow flags in all 3 sectors there, which is bamboozling. I think this game does need a patch or something, because obviously something's not quite right. I'll be really worried if it says yellow flag in sector 1 and 3, because that'll mean that one half of the car is in sector 1 and the other half's in sector 3, which would mean an almighty crash. Would you say?
Well, I think the Renault who just DNF'd is just standing around in sector 1 until the first straight. So, now he disappeared. So, problem solved.
That's a relief. We could do without drama like that here at Austria, folks. Certainly, that would be a disaster nonetheless. But what a race so far. Currently, Tomek Perančić leading the way, 6/10 clear of Zones as things stand. And that contingent still very much in foot. Sven Zerner, who has rejoined the session, is back in his car, pushing as much as he can. He's 3.5 seconds behind Photon as things stand, but you can't count this man out. Tomek Perančić leading the way for the McLaren team. You see Husky Chocolate on the rear of the rear wing, and Zones as well, getting close and personal with him as well. The BWT logo sticking out like a sore thumb on that pink livery as they make their way down the back stretch, heading towards what will be Slosh Gold here in lap 13. As we now see Zones having a little look, a late move on the outside, and he locks up the tyres there. The front lefts were locked up horrendously there, allowing Perantic able to defend his P1 at that stage. But Zone's going for a near last minute move at Slosh Gold. Now that could have been dramatic, but nonetheless, Perantic holds on to P1, and still plenty of drama unfolding here, Maku.
Yeah, sure, but there will be more drama coming because a few drivers already stopped, but the whole front row, as I'm saying this, all the front row is going into the pits, and yeah, well, I think it's of course mediums. That's the best choice in those 50% races. In a full race, it's always a little bit tricky to bring those mediums then until the end, but here mostly works with the soft medium strategy. So basically nothing changed in the order of those cars, but well, they're now in 10th, 11th and 12th and need to fight back up because some of those guys already pitted who are now in front of them.
Well, it's very interesting to see that none of the Ferraris went into the pits. So Steve currently leading the way, Photon is in P2, so I'm wondering who's going to go first amongst these two. Obviously, yeah. It puts them at a semi-disadvantage. Sven Zerner yet to pit as well, though he's only 4 seconds behind Photon. Giuseppe there in P4, he's around a second behind Sven Zerner as they make their way around the next right hand. You can see Steve now diving into the pit lane, and Photon will stay out on his softs. They must be feeling really treacherous around about now. We did get advice that the stoppage would be around about lap 13 to 16, so no surprises to see the pit window opening for that period, and therefore lap 15, 14 and 15 seems to be the time where these guys will start making stops, as we now see Photon making his way up towards the Remus corner. Already we've seen Thomas leave the pit lane, and he is in P6. He has made moves already, and now he's chasing Lormans, the Renault car that's in P5 right now. He's 2.2 seconds behind him, and technically he has the net lead of the race, Maku.
Technically he has, but you know, those fast cars are approaching, and well, I mean, they're basically on the same all of the same strategy, but those fast cars have a little bit fresher mediums, I think, and well, I'm not sure why the telemetry is not really updating the live time of the tires, but I think they're a little bit older than not even one lap. But yeah, let's see. I mean, we surely see Tomek and Zones then fight through the 5 cars ahead of them. 4 cars? 5 car. No, 4. Because Foden is going for the pit.
He is indeed. Photon is in the pit lane. Ferrari making their change on their second car. Obviously, Steve's already had his done. Photon now has dropped down to P8. That's unless Steve can come out ahead of it, and he does indeed. Makes that move. Sven Zerner also coming up as well. Though Sven still yet to make a move on the 2 Ferraris. We now see Tomek come up to Remus, and already he's caught up quite quickly to Tarabukin and Lormans as well. So Tomek showing an incredible burst of pace. Currently a second behind that of the AlphaTauri of Tarabukin as they make their way around Slosh Gold, and indeed the orange McLaren still holding his own as we now see Tarabukin now chasing Lormans, the Renault driver, who is in fact pulling slightly away from him, and that'll give Tomek a very good chance to make an overtake himself, I'm sure. Look how close that gap is now, with amazing traction that he earned going around Verth and the Roche and the Verth curves as they come round towards the next right-hander, heading down towards the final corner before they make their way onto the home stretch. Also following Tomac is Zones as well, who did have pole at the start of the race. And as you can see, Tomac Perantis right behind Tarabukin as they make the next right-handed turn. They'll soon have the DRS, as you can see, closing right up. Look at the traction he gained off the first corner. They're heading up towards the Remus curve. And as you can see, Lormans, he could be in trouble as well. Tries to shut the door. The traction that Tomac has gained has managed to make a double overtake going through Remus. What a move by the McLaren driver. He's neck and neck with Lormans heading down towards Slosh Gold. But what an incredible bit of racecraft. The McLaren, next P3 at the depths of the Remus curve. What an overtake there by Tomek Paraxis.
A really amazing overtake, and now Tarabukin is retaking his position in front of Lormans. I don't know what's going on with him at the moment, because he was just switching positions with Tarabukin the lap before into exact the same turn number 3, and now he swapped back like 2 or 3 places there. I mean, the overtake from Tomek was really unavoidable for him because Tarbukin was in the way, but it was just some great racecraft.
It was, and Zones now making that crucial move into P4. Naturally, he got held up slightly because he was stuck behind Tarabukin, and certainly he wanted to get rid of him as soon as possible so he can let fly at Tomek Paraxis. Obviously, he's got to try and close that gap as much as he can in order to give himself a chance to get ahead in that net lead of the race. Obviously, Kruzic and Yusuf are still yet to pit at this stage here in lap 18 of 36. We're halfway through, folks, as they make their way down towards Slosh Gold. You can now see Zones in P4, Tarabukin in behind him. Look at Andy, he's there as well, trying to make an overtake on Tarabukin as well. Everyone taking their turns against the Alpha Tauri as they make their way around the Berth and the Roche curve. You can see that Andy taking those 2 corners now in front. You can there see the Pink Panther, Andy getting the job done, moving up to P5 as they make their way down towards the latter stages of lap 18, and they'll very soon be heading into lap 19. And indeed, you can now see that Tomek still very much in the net lead of the race, though he's still got a long way to go. Can he keep Zones off his back, Naku?
I don't know how long he can, because I think Zones is giving it everything, you know, and unlike the Racing Point in real life, they don't need to turn down the engine from Mercedes because we're in the game here, so he can give it full power, everything he has. I mean, we have the new ERS system in the game with just the overtake button. Let's see who manages it better, because that's always a problem too. And of course, who has the best fuel management.
Yeah, we've actually lost Sven Zerner as well. He's out of the session.
Again.
And Lortmans has also left the session as well.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a crucial moment for him because he's got Boomson and Zename right behind him. Photon making a move on Tarabukin as well. The 2 Ferraris in tandem have gone ahead of the AlphaTauri and moved into P6 and 7. Andy in P5, only a second behind Zones as things stand. You can see the Alfa Romeo round in the final corner, heading onto the main straight, and indeed Zones still pressing the advantage here in P4. Tomek Paraxis, though, technically the net leader of this Grand Prix as they make their way around the first corner, heading up towards Remus. You can see now Tomek trying to surge up on his teammate Kruzic as they make their way up towards the Remus curve. Kruzic eating a little bit of earth there, heading into that crucial right-hander. And you can see there Tomek loving the Remus curve. He made a double overtake there previously, and now he's surging up towards his teammate Kruzic, heading down towards Slosh Gold, looking to get a move down here to move into the crucial second position. He gets it done, and again Tomek Paraxis wowing the crowds here and wowing the spectators in the live chat, taking that P2. Now he's just got Yusuf ahead of him, all that separates him from P1.
Well, now the problem a little for Zones is that there's still Kruzic between both of them. So he first needs to overtake Kruzic, and Tomek has in the meantime a little bit of time alone to pull away. So he really needs to make this overtake maneuver quick, or else Tomek will be gunned, and he can't have any DRS of him anymore or anything like that. So let's see how that develops, and then those guys still need to arrive at the 5 seconds away Justifer or Calcifer, but well, the medium guys also still need to pit. It's just confusing me because they're still on my screen. They're still written like 0 laps from their tires. That's why I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, well, I've got to say it's certainly needs working on the telemetry system. Not quite right here in F1 2020 as Zones overtakes Kruzic. Looked all too easy there going around in the Berth and the Roche curve, and indeed Kruzic letting Andy through as well. So Andonator now makes his way through. Andy, don't forget, is the B-split champion, and I've got to say he's really showing his prowess here in this social race. Certainly Andonator is going to be a very interesting prospect heading into the new ORL A-split season, and it certainly will be an exciting driver to watch on the ORL Racing League channel. And certainly as we now watch the Alfa Romeo burst round the first corner. Currently in P4, shadowing zones as best he can. Tomek also not far away as well. It's these three once again heading up towards Remus. You can't separate them as they head up towards the corner now. You can see there Tomek taking it well. He loves the Remus corner as we now watch zones. Makes a little bit of a slip there. And indeed, Andonate is still very much plugged into the back of him. Looking further back, you can see the two Ferraris there of Steve and Photon now ganging up on Kruzich, and you can now see Steve making that crucial move now around Slosh Gold. A little bit of touch in there from the Ferrari and the McLaren, but as they make it their way round, you can see that Steve has managed to press the advantage, taken P5, and indeed I don't think it'll be long before Photon makes the same move.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see that soon, so you can follow his team probably. I mean, the two Ferraris are doing a really great job together there, and yeah, well, let's see. Oh, we've just for going into the pits, so Tomek is retaking the lead of the race. So basically now we're back to the original order, and now we can just enjoy the fight for the first place. But oh, Boomson just retired. What happened there?
We've lost Boomson, a DNF in Sector 3, which means that he is now out of the race. Looks like it must have just been before the pit lane or something. Maybe he retired in the pit lane, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure, but it still says yellow flag in Sector 3 nonetheless. We're now seeing Kruzich make his way out the pit lane ahead of Tarabukin. Looking further up the field though, Photon and Steve still going at it. The two Ferraris doing battle for P4 right now. Looking ahead as well, Andy getting really close to zones as well. I don't think this battle is over just yet. I get the feeling though that Tomek has the advantage. He's a second clear of zones as things stand as they make their way down towards the latter stages of lap 23. Very soon they'll be in lap 24. You can see their zones breaking there into the swinging right-hander before the final right-hand corner. You can see their zones in behind him. Andy really pushing. We're riding on board with Andy now as he comes up towards the first corner. Indeed, he's closing the gap on zones. Really tight now. You can see, look at the back end, the BWT sticking out like a sore thumb, heading up the long straight towards what will be Remus. And indeed, he'll have the DRS heading up towards Remus. And it's the Alfa Romeo of Andy making that crucial move into P2. What a move there by Andy. Gets the job done. Moves into P2 ahead of zones. The Racing Point relegated to P3. The Alfa Romeo into P2. What a great move there, Maku.
What a really great move. And the thing is, Andy had now DRS on the second straight too. So basically, if he can stay in this 1 second window to Tomek, which he just is maybe, he can get DRS again, and then it will be easier, just easier, not like really easy, to get close to Tomek. And if Jones stays in this DRS window too, maybe both of them still have a chance onto that first place, and we see a three-way battle for that.
Absolutely. Well, Andy has now managed to close the gap into 8.5 tenths of a second. He is literally lumberjacking those lap times against Tomek Paraxis, who knows that Alfa Romeo is starting to really push the advantage. He'll have the DRS as well, heading up the straight towards Remus. And indeed, he has punched it, heading up towards that Remus corner now. The right-hander that they've all got to take, that Tomek has been masterfully doing all race. As you can now see, the Alfa is literally half a second away. He might have a chance here. DRS activated, heading down the straight towards Slosh Gold. In behind, Zones as well. Only half a second himself away, but naturally, both Andy and Zones have DRS. Tomek locks up, heading round that right-hand corner. That could be crucial as we head round towards the Roche and the Birth Curve. The McLaren looking a little bit exposed now, and I'd imagine that Andy will want to get a move done when the McLaren is at his mercy.
I think it's everything about the pressure, because they're getting closer. It's only slowly, but you know, we have 11 laps left. So if they're taking 1/10 a lap, it's still fine. They still will get the overtake done. But the thing is to just keep in mind that you still have, like, now it's about 10 laps left of the race, and you just need to set him that much under pressure that he makes this mistake as he did in corner 4, just like a few seconds ago. And Andy's now again getting really close. Maybe we can now see at least a try of an overtake into the next corner.
He will, and this will be his chance. If he opens up the DRS, he is right and close 2. That McLaren coming up towards Lost Goal now. This is for the lead of the race. Can't get the job done though. The door gets slammed shut there by Tomek, who locks up yet again. The pressure is being felt there by the man in the McLaren. The Alfa Romeo pushing home, trying to pile on the agony here in P2. Zone's following suit though. He's waiting to see what happens there in P3. You can see the Racing Point just tracking these two as they make their way around in lap 26, heading towards the straight. The two Ferraris starting to enter the fray themselves. You can see there Photon and Steve coming to join the party as they round the final corner. You can see the Tomek Peransis now under a lot of pressure. Here comes Andy in the Alfa Romeo, heading up towards the first bend. You can see that the McLaren getting closer and closer all the time. Who's going to get the better exit out of turn 1 towards the DRS detection zone now? The Alfa Romeo very close to the McLaren. Can he do it before the Rebus bend? That wouldn't make sense, would it? Surely not before Slosh Gold as he makes his way up the next right-hand bend. You see there the McLaren really tight to the front wing of that Alfa Romeo. He punches the DRS, heads down the straight. Can he get the slipstream? Heading down towards that big corner at Slosh Gold where Tomek's been locking up as they make their way around now. Tomek doesn't lock up this time, but he's still very close to the front end of that Alfa. It's very, very tight here, Maku.
Yeah, I think we'll see this just getting that close and then dropping a little bit back again for a few laps now. But I think, as it looks, at least Andy is saving a little of his ERS. Maybe he's trying to pull that attack a little bit later, because he didn't use it on the straights that much. And I think if he just wants to, if he has enough ERS, he can really make a difference then. And now we're again seeing him getting close. And I think he just needs this one perfect run, and then he needs a little bit for ERS, and then he can just go for it.
He certainly will. You can now see the Alfa Romeo getting right close to the McLaren as they come towards Rebus. A little bit of touch in there. A little bit of argy-bargy heading into Rebus. Indeed, the Alfa Romeo trying to stay in touch with that of Tomek Peransis as they make their way down towards Slosh Gold. This time the McLaren gets the DRS as they head down towards Slosh Gold. Does Antonator want to try a late braking maneuver? No, he's going to stick behind him. Another lock up there from Tomek as they make their way around. And surely that could put him at jeopardy. He's doing his best to defend from the Alfa Romeo. In behind the Racing Point of zones, only 4 tenths away from Andy as things stand here in lap 28 of 36. We have only got 8 laps remaining, folks. It has been absolutely unreal. Keep it with us. Maku and I are literally dripping with sweat.
Even though it's not that hot today, I mean, we have like really chilly temperatures, but no, it's been so stressful this race.
It's certainly been something special. Syka's retired as well. We've lost yet another driver in this race. And Andy now, once again, looking to see if he can make a move on Tomek. Can he get the move done? The momentum very much in the favour of the Alfa. He tries the inside this time. Dives in. It looks like he's got it done. He has P1 for Andy here in lap 29. How long can he hold on for it though? Because Tomek will have his chance heading down the straight towards Slosh Gold. Here comes Tomek. Diving down the inside is Andy trying to avoid the slipstream as they make their way down towards the right hand corner. Andy locks up this time. The pressure is now on the Alfa Romeo, Maku.
Beautiful. It's now exactly the other way around. We have a cat and mouse game with switching positions. But yeah, will be really interesting. But though those guys are really fighting at the front, but the two Ferraris don't really seem to come closer.
No, not at all. That gap is still 1.8 seconds with Steven Zone. Yeah. So maybe it's the fact that the DRS train that the 3 cars have got, they're pulling away from the Ferraris as things stand. So it's not enabling them to get into the race. Therefore, Zones, I think, is just happy tracking the 2 runners ahead of him, and he can just get the pull off the DRS. Andy at the moment still leading the way, albeit being pressurised by Peradzik, though I'm sure the Ferraris, if this gets kept up, the Ferraris will get their chance to close the gap, albeit though they've got to improve that time gap because it's now increased to 2 seconds, Maku.
Yeah, but I have to say it was about 2 seconds all the time before. Oh, we've now in a Ferrari intern switch. Foden is now going to the lead. Maybe if they're communicating in Discord or something, well, Foden just said, yeah, I may be faster than you. Let me try to catch them. would be a good idea. I mean, in their position, they're both in those places they can do much as long as the front man can't keep up with the guys in front.
Well, if Photon's a faster man, then surely he'll be able to make use of it. He's now managed to quash the gap by around 3 tenths, so he's getting something out of it, albeit it seems to be revolving a little bit. It's now gone back up to 2 seconds, but I'm sure he will get his chance. He certainly seems to be the faster of the two. Anyway, that remains to be seen. Well, we've only got 5 laps remaining here, folks. But Andy's still leading the way, albeit Peradzik still very much in his slipstream as they head out towards Schloss Gold. As you can now see, the DRS becomes active there for the McLaren. He starts trying to make some tracks heading up towards Schloss Gold, trying to get into the slipstream of that Alfa Romeo in behind Zones. We now see the Alfa lock up yet again. The Racing Point very happy with just sticking behind these two, hoping that one of them makes a mistake, because obviously this amount of pressure is surely going to cause certainly some issues, certainly amongst the two drivers ahead. Zone's quite happy to be pottering in P3, just watching what these guys do next. Is he going to be the fortunate one here and benefit from a potential disaster here, Maku?
Yeah, it could be, could of course be, but we've seen those guys locking up a lot in this corner, and I mean, as long as you aren't beside them, I think you don't really have a chance for an overtake, because those corners are really fast, and you really need the race line to get a quick exit out there, and without that exit, the others long gone. But now we see another overtake from Tomek into the Remus curve, and he got it done.
That was sensational. Absolutely.
Favorite corner.
Absolutely sensational, Maku. Phenomenal move. Clean as you like. The McLaren leads the way.
Yeah.
If that doesn't show confidence, I don't know what does. But then he locks up again, heading round Schloss Goal. Though he has pulled away from Andy by about 4 tenths of a second, so he does have a chance to try and close out this victory here. Though Andy, I'm sure, will do everything in his power to stop that from happening. We've got 4 laps remaining here, folks. Zones as well, also waiting in the midst, looking for an opportunity to strike as well in his Pink Panther livery. As you look further back as well, Photon has managed to close the gap to 1.3 seconds. He's doing a phenomenal job trying to close the gap on Zones as things stand. The two priorities starting to come into play. Photon trying to recap the form that won him the title 2 seasons ago, is now looking to really score himself a good result here in this social race in Austria here in ORL. It certainly is a fantastic finale here for this social race. Currently Tomek leading the way, albeit only by about a tenth of a second, with Andy trying to really pile home the agony once again, looking to get an opportunity for another overtake as they head down towards Schloss Goal. In fact, the Alfa Romeo really starting to try and peg back at the McLaren. What's his bravery like heading into Schloss Goal now, as we don't see the McLaren heading into it now? A little lock-up, a little puff of smoke out of the front right tyres, but no issues just as yet. Andy's got to be patient, has got to wait until the opportune moment to make that crucial overtake, Maku.
A little bit of sliding. And yeah, at least I heard a little bit of the tire locking up on the back. But yeah, now the tires are really done, or they're starting to get really squishy, and they don't work as they should be anymore. And well, that comes into play too. Who of the drivers can manage that better, and also who of the driver can save more tire for the fight at the end. Maybe just Zones was a little bit at the back to attack now, but I'm not sure about that. I think he was already really trying to stay behind the 3 and don't lose the DRS train. And I think he's really happy about those two fighting, because else he maybe would have backed out of those two. And I think all 3 locked up through this corner.
It's a very tough corner, Schloss Gold. Certainly with these guys breaking as late as they are, naturally locking up is going to be a common factor, certainly here in F1 2020. Tomek, though, still leading the way. 2 laps remaining here, folks, and it certainly is nitty-gritty time here at the Austrian Grand Prix. We're now seeing the McLaren dive down on this right-hand corner, looking to really try and poke his way through and take hold of this victory here. Andy still pressing though in P2, not letting this man get away. Looking further down, Zones is there. Not forgetting Steve, who is now overtaken Photon. He's only 4 tenths away from Zones as things stand as they make their way around the next bend. Indeed, Zones might be a little bit exposed. Photon is there as well. Jucifer back in P6. But what a phenomenal bit of driving by all of these drivers. It certainly has been A spectacular watch heading into Remus now. You can see there Thomas Paradzik now under pressure from Andy, now heading round towards the stretch. Tomac managing to increase the gap by about 2/4 of a second, but instantly Andy pegs it back, heading down towards Schlossgold. The medium tyres being really torn a new one round Austria at this moment in time. These drivers giving us a spectacle as we now see Eagle get a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, he received a lot, I have to say. There was a lot of those messages about him receiving penalties. But yeah, you know, on strict, the game is really strict. So yeah, I think there weren't that much penalties on the top spots, but now that we don't have a 3-way, but I think more of a 5-way DRS lane, it's very much it's been very much more interesting, because now the third place of Zones is a little bit in danger, because there is a very fast Ferrari coming.
Well, sorry to interrupt, Maku, because Andy's going for the lead of the race. They make their way up towards Remus. Here comes the Alfa Romeo diving on the outside. We're on the final lap, folks, but he doesn't get the right traction heading out to Remus, and now he's at the mercy of Zones now. Zones really on the back of the Alfa. Can he get the job done? He needs a late one here at Schlossgold. Dives in on the inside, the racing point, and Zones, oh my word, goes for a ride. The Ferraris, the Vultures, pecking at him now. Here come Photon and also Steve heading round towards the further Roche curve. In goes Steve into P3. Took advantage of the move. Got it done. Photon also moves into P4. Disaster for Zones. But Tomek, here he comes. He's got a gap of 6.5 of a second. Here comes Tomek around the final corner. The McLaren has done the business here today. He will win the Austrian Grand Prix. Andy comes second. Steve, but Photon takes it on penalties. Phenomenal scenes here.
Oh,
Tomek Paradzik,
what?
P2 for McLaren. Jucifer P3. Andy drops down to P4. Zones P5. Steve P6. What a race, Maku.
A race. What happened with the penalties? Oh my gosh. And the Ferrari action on the last lap was really exciting. Was really already the fight into Remus with Zones. And then, you know, both Ferraris took Zones into this half a lap. Very exciting, very, very crazy.
Well, Photon back with a vengeance, taking P1 in this social race here on F1 2020 here on ORL. What a race here, the first social race for the new game. And indeed, he's got to be delighted with that. What a race there from Photon. Tomek Paradzik, he was an incredible talent. I look forward to seeing him this incoming season. Certainly looks like a force to be reckoned with. And not forgetting Jucifer, who came into P3, who, to be honest, did an incredible job to actually move himself up the field and moving into P3. Phenomenal effort. Andy there in P4. Great drive from him as well. And Zones as well as Steve. But Maku, that's just the ideal start to F1 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it was still a social race. Of course, everyone wants to win, but it was still a social race. It was a little bit a preview of what we may see. I think, or maybe I hope, that we will do a social race also in Zandvoort and Hanoi, the two new tracks, because, well, it would be first really interesting for the drivers to see how competitive they are against each other on the track, and, well, also for us to see some races on there, because we've never seen a race. I think, well, of course in Zandvoort you've seen some races in real life, but not in a game. But Hanoi, was it a new track? I'm not sure right now.
Hanoi, yes, very much a new track to the Formula One series. And,
but is it new build?
I'm not sure about it. It's a street circuit, so I'm not sure whether it's a new build as such. I think it might be. I mean, I've not heard of it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because Zandvoort is a well-known name.
It is, absolutely, going back from the 80s and the late 90s, well, the early 90s. But that's your classifications, folks. Photon takes P1. Tomek Paradzik there in P2. Jucifer P3. What a race. Andinator P4. Zones P5. Steve P6. Tarabukin P7. Got driver of the day as well. Kruzic P8. Gabe Wand in P9. Lawmans P10. Leonard P11. Zename P12. Dax P13. Sven Zerner unfortunately DNFing, as well as Eagle, Syke, Boomson, Jonathan, Ludwig and Speed Booster. But Maku, definitely a good start. We look forward to obviously the new season. Plenty more social races left to come, folks, leading up to our very first race in the online racing league. Please leave a like and a subscribe as well below. I hope you've all enjoyed.
Wait. Let's just do a quick driver interview. I mean, we have the time, right? We're the real show qualifying.
Have we got interviews?
Yeah. At least R7 told me, and Hypers is waiting in the voice room.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, yeah, we'll join that then. Great stuff.
See, I'm not sure if Calcifer or Justifer are coming, and Andy. Andy was in the podium, right?
Yeah.
And it was.
No.
Was it? No. We're unsure.
Photon, Hypers, and Jucifer.
Photon, right? There is. Wait, I'll drag the other ones if I can. There we are.
You need to give him the commentator role to speak, I think. No?
I can't give them roles, but I think Photon can speak.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, right. Hypers just needs to unmute himself, I think.
I had to turn on push to talk.
Right then.
There you go.
Well, guys, welcome to congratulations, obviously, to our podium sitters. We got the three of them here. Photon winning the race, phenomenal drive, as well as Veloci Hypers taking the P2. Not forgetting as well, Calcifer taking the P3 spot. Phenomenal drive, guys. We'll start first with Photon. Obviously, great drive from yourself, Photon. Obviously, a previous champion in ORL. Last season didn't quite go to plan, but great to see you back on the top step here in the social race. How was that drive for you?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I don't know, and I don't really know what to say, to be honest, because I was around P5 and P6 the whole race, and I didn't expect to win at all. But yeah, it seemed like penalties made a difference. So yeah.
Well, it was a testament to your driving, obviously keeping it clean, not getting into any trouble. But yet, it seemed like yourself and your teammate Steve seemed to handle the track exceptionally well, working with each other to try and benefit each other with the DRS. Obviously, you managed to catch up with the drivers in front. Are we expecting a new Photon this season? Obviously, it didn't quite go to plan for you last season. Have you found that the new game has benefited you, I think, a little bit more than 2019 did?
Yeah, I think it suits me much better than the last game, and yeah, you can expect me to see in the front again. So
great stuff.
Yeah,
well,
hopefully a great season ahead.
Yeah, really good news, obviously, because you're previous champion, obviously, and it was quite surprising, obviously, how things happened for you last season. But great to see you back with a vengeance. Certainly for this one, a great drive indeed, and phenomenal effort. Certainly great to see some of your raw pace, and we'll look forward to seeing that this season as well. We'll move on now. Congratulations, by the way, Photon. Great work, mate.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Veloce Hypers. Hypers, how's things, bud? All right?
Yeah, I mean, this race was okay. I guess it's kind of my comeback to ORL after I, let's say, left back in 2 seasons ago. So that was kind of my comeback, my first race back. And I finished P1 on track. I was legitimately happy with that. If anything, I could have done better. I could have got no penalties. But at the start of the game, I'm not really that consistent as I can be in, let's say, 1-2 months' time. So yeah, it was all right.
Well, I think despite your battling with Zones and with Andy, it certainly seemed to me that you had control of the car and pretty much control of the race. Had penalties not interfered, certainly you would have been the victor on track. How did you assess the pace out there going through the race? Was it a strong pace, or was it just easy to manage by yourself?
Well, I gotta say that at the start of the race and pretty much throughout it, Zones and Andy were putting quite a bit of pressure on me. The pace was really impressive. But what I was trying to do is I was trying to manage my ERS, managed to not get penalties because I got my first penalty very early on. So I had to drive very consistent, staying off the curbs, a little bit like Mercedes did a week ago in the Austrian Grand Prix. So yeah, I was trying to stay consistent. I definitely wasn't pushing 100%. I definitely wasn't giving it everything, I guess. But Overall speaking, the pace was solid. I think I put on a solid pace. I managed to break the DRS, I think, a couple of times, but every time they managed to get back into it, which just showed that they had great pace. And I think this is a good teaser of what we have to come and what there is to come in this season.
Absolutely. I mean, you're only a young driver as such. I mean, you've risen through the ranks over the last few years. Last season, you had a good, I believe you had a good championship in AOR. Coming into this new season, how do you assess your chances? Do you feel more comfortable on the F1 2020 platform as opposed to the 2019?
I can't really tell, to be honest. I seem to be quite fast when it comes to time trial or just lapping on my own, but in league races I still find it tough to reproduce my lap times from practice, something that I was comfortably doing in 2019. So as long as I can fix that and redo my pace from practice in the actual races, then I'm absolutely confident that I can fight for the title. But at the moment, that's the main focus. That's the thing I gotta work on. It's just being able to put those lap times when they matter. Something that I think this is a skill that I had in 2019, and definitely I need to kind of get it back in F1 2020. So yeah, definitely if I can just do that, I'm confident going into the season.
Well, credit to you on a brilliant performance. I'm sure we'll see more of you in the races to come. But congratulations on a very good result here today as well. Well done.
Thank you.
No problem. We'll move over to Calcifer now, our last but not least final podium sitter. Calcifer, great race by yourself. Seemed consistent. You weren't quite amongst the leaders in terms of battling, but you seem to obviously keep it clean on track. Certainly seemed to suit you today, being at Austria. How do you assess your race ongoing?
Yeah, overall, it's a bit. I'm a bit sad that I missed out P1 by 3 or 4 tenths, but overall, Austria is one of my weakest tracks, and I really did bad qualifying. And yeah, I don't want to like make myself good or something, but setup was not the best as well. So there's a lot to come yet, hopefully.
So I suppose to assess that, if it was one of your weakest tracks, you must feel pretty happy with the result nonetheless. I mean, the fact that you were, say for example, 3-4 tenths off the winner, that's not a bad result at all, really. And have you noticed a strike and improvement heading into the new season?
Yeah, I think this game fits me a lot better than the last year's game, and pace seems to be a lot better for me. So, and I only have done like 8 hours in the game, or even less.
Phenomenal. So you probably would expect improvement the more if you do a little bit more work on it.
Yeah,
so.
there's more to come.
Yeah. Well, that definitely sounds great. Obviously, we're looking forward to the new season. Obviously, we've got new drivers coming in. Just assessing some of the new talent we've got coming into ORL at the moment. The likes of Andy, who I've got to say was a formidable opponent for many out there today. Would you say this is one of the more exciting seasons of ORL that we've got coming up, considering the new blood that's coming through?
I hope so, especially if I am one of the coordinators. But yeah, I really hope that yeah, I really hope that some of top drivers will join more, and there will be exciting battles like last season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations on a great result today, and I'm sure we'll see more of you as well again very soon. Anything from yourself, Maku?
No, I don't think I have anything to add. Just congratulations also from me. And yeah, well done. This race was really fun to watch, especially the last lap battles. Really nice. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in another social race, or then when the season starts.
Absolutely. Definitely more to come here at the Online Racing League. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I have been CRGGO. He's been Maku. It's been phenomenal bringing us, or bringing you guys the coverage of this social race event. Very soon we'll be starting the brand new season. I'm sure leading up to that, though, we'll be having social races as well. Please stay tuned to the channel and stay up to date with all that happens here at ORL. But in the meantime, I have been CRGGO. He's been Maku. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you again soon.